Greetings! I, Tantasnar Van Dracovin, your Lord and Emperor here at the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. We're heading back into Golarion, the campaign setting of Pathfinder role-playing game system. We're going to be visiting a new territory. Kind of country? It's more territory than country, but we'll be talking about it today. So if you're joining me live on Twitch, hey Twitch, a follow would be great just to come along and stick along with us as we do anything. And if you're joining me a couple days later when these videos tend to go up on YouTube, hi YouTube, I also enjoy having you here. You know, I don't know if you check out the other side, but if you're joining me on YouTube, subscription, subscribing, liking, ringing the bell would really be great there for supporting on YouTube. And my question today is, have you any adventures in the realm of the Mammoth Lords? Because that's what we're talking about today. The realm of the Mammoth Lords. It has a really awesome sounding name, and it is a really awesome sounding place. There isn't a whole lot of information we'll be talking about today, technically, but it's because there really isn't a lot to talk about other than the important basics. It is what it is, a brutal, harsh realm. And we'll be talking about that. So as usual, I like to shout out a number of books you can check out if you want to do some more research, deeper dive a little bit more than I talk about here. And of course, the Pathfinder First Edition book, The Inner Sea World Guide, gives you some information. And then the campaign setting book, also from First Edition, gives you some more. And if you want to look into stuff where it's been updated to Second Edition, the Lost Omens World Guide would be my recommendation. That is the symbol of the realm of the Mammoth Lords. Let's start talking about it, because there is some things to discuss about this here. So, when we talk about the realm of the Mammoth Lords, there is no capital, there's no single ruler. The closest thing to a government are the Mammoth Lords, the people that live there. The languages that are spoken are Giant and Holland. There is no common. Taldane, the common language, tends not to be spoken here. It's a realm of harsh weather, megafauna, hunter-gatherers. It is in the far north, and if you take it lightly, you are dead. No questions asked. The thing about this entire territory is, when we talk about its history, well, there really isn't much to discuss on its history. It's kind of timeless. It has its own rhythms of nature, and it dictates to the seasons what goes on there, and doesn't measure history the same way that observe dates or years. It's a simpler lifestyle, and the kind of hunter-gatherer technology that the people that live there go by reflects that. It's filled very little things of betrayal, political turmoil that happened in a lot of other places in Golarion. And the biggest thing that happened in this entire place to shake it up is when Eridan died, because the world wound formed, and demons kind of came out. When the kingdom of Sarcosis fell and was overrun by demons, they started raiding along the eastern border of the realm of the Mammoth Lords. Now, granted, it's been since closed up, and the Sarcosin Scar remains when the Fifth Mendev Crusade defeated Descarai and closed it in 4718. Just about 6 years ago. And doesn't mean there's probably not might be some demons left over here and there, but the threat of that is gone now, and so it returns to just hunter-gatherers, megafauna, and brutal weather and stuff. I will drink water. And hello, Blaze. So before I talk about what's in the realm of the Mammoth Lords, because there are a couple of settlements and some places you might want to visit, I'm going to talk about who's kind of in charge of them. The Mammoth Lords. It's the closest thing to a government the entire area has. At the lowest level, the Mammoth Lords are a bunch of Kelid tribes as small as a few families in numbers. These tribe groups form larger groups called followings, which then can include hundreds of tribes. So it's basically like, when we break it down, you know, you have these tribes that could just be a few families, and they form groups called followings, and then go into, like, these bigger things. A following is when two or more tribes go in together and follow a particular powerful warrior or leader, known as a herder, who's proven themselves through acts of courage, strength, guile, or is backed by the following's most predominant family. So yeah, that's the basics of it. So the Mammoth Lord is not really a rank, but refers to the members, the nomadic Kelid tribes that roam this frigid, hostile realm in northern Avastia. Known followings I can talk about. The tribes will also have a blood speaker as a leader in addition to a chief or herder whose usual role is filled by a shaman. When a herder dies, often while attempting another epic feat to impress the followers, each tribe of the following either elects to either follow a new hero who must have achieved a similarly spectacular feat, or split into the original tribe families, or try to join another following. So followings can kind of shift and change a lot as they go with these Mammoth Lords. The current most powerful of following is the Bear Pelt following, led by herdsman Mighty Kuldor. The followings and tribes are nomadic, travel on foot, though they will use domesticated mammoths and large elements to pull gear, tents, and possessions on huge travols. So yeah, the Bear Pelt, that's the top one. It's the largest, has thousands of numbers. Mixed winter home in southeast of Icestair. Its blood speaker is Gurak. We will talk about Icestair because it's a settlement. The Flameblood following are nomads of the northwestern realm near Icestair and considered subversively modern and open. They prosper through trade with Pola and are led by Ufrit Flameblood. There's also the Great Tusk following, the Ice Chasm following, the Night Hunt following, the Raptor Scale following, and the Slothjaw following. There was the Six Bear following, but it's considered deceased. Its traditions live on from its former Grand Matron, Great Mother Omak. So there you go. There's the basics of the government. So they don't have a central government. Its inhabitants will have to contend with neighboring states as they go through periods of upheaval and change. That's its neighbors. In the west, Irisen has a significant shift in its first major chain of line of succession over 14 centuries because of the recent loss of a queen. To the south, the orcs of Belkazin are basically transforming from their warlike, brutal lifestyle with the rejection of their former oppressor Tar-Baphon, triggering this transformation. So it's like the orcs, because they rejected Tar-Baphon, are actually transforming into maybe something akin to a civilization. I talked about it when I talked about the Helm of Belkazin, but that also is like, it's a major change. And of course, the closure of the World Wound has brought a major change to their east. So sort of like to the west, south, and east, things are changing. Of course, the east with that has changed because it has brought relief to the Mammoth Lords as each demon slayed contributes to the reduction in threat from that direction. So things are changing here very heavily. So let's just switch images here to this one here. That's the Broken Tusk group here that I was talking about. And their symbol. But let's talk about what's there. It's in the north of the continent, wedged between the polar region, the crown of the world. The polar ice is held by bay by the mighty Tusk Mountains that stretch from the town of Icestair to the west, past the town of Tolguth in the east. I'll talk about both of those in a minute. Of course, to the east is the Sarkona Star, where the Woundwood was. And it shares its western border with the icy nation of Irisen. And of course, down to the south, Hold Belkazin. I mentioned all that. And again, like, stuck between all this, it's no wonder this place is just hardy. The majority of the land is covered in cold, harsh tundra and boreal forests, which roam herds of huge creatures that are extinct in other areas. This is a region where Megafauna maintained itself. It was able to survive. Similar to the places in the Mwangi Expanse, dinosaurs survived until the more modern days, where it went extinct across much of Golarion. It was a natural area that allowed them to maintain life after everything that happened. This region here, in particularly, allowed things like mammoths to survive. The nation is split east and western regions by a long spur of the Tusk Mountains that runs from its northern border and a northeasterly direction into the hold of Belkacin. To the east of the mountains lie the Ginji Mesa of the Crook Mountains. To the west lies the seemingly never-ending expanse of the Thunder Steppes. Several major rivers flow into the west from Irisin's glacial lake, beginning in the Tusk Mountains. There's the Little Tusk Frozen Road, Wayward River that flow into the Gulgik River. They do have a connection to deep Tolguth. Herds of auroch and bison roam among the families of lumbering mammoths and mastodons. All hunt under the hunting eye of saber-toothed tigers. They're all believed to come from some strange world underground where titanic beasts from an earlier age still roam and humans have never grasped the tenets of civilization. This land inhabitants are believed to be deep Tolguth. It is believed that the Earth Nabal, a terrifying crevice lined with bones of ancient beasts and tribal warriors, once connected it to Tolguth to the surface. However, the lower tunnels have since collapsed. And so, Deep Tolguth is a region, that theoretically exists in the Darklands. I talked about the Darklands. It's just a prehistoric region beneath them. So the cities that we talked about is Hillcross, which is a small city, mostly human, some orcs and some other ones, as of 4722. The Hillcross Witches is the council that leads it, with their Olga the Glasswalker. It's not really a permanent, stable city. It's a permanent location of a vast tent city. It's a meeting ground of various nomadic tribes of the realm of the Mammoth Lords. So one of the largest passes through the Tusk Mountains, deep ravines that remain ice-free year-round, regardless of the freezing storms and ravagings surrounding the mountains. And despite the rough and ready appearance to other cities in the south, it still uses a place for visiting southern merchants to deal with the tribes of the realm. So if you're a southern merchant, you go here to trade. It's also, if you want to cross the crown of the world and descend via Ice Stair, on their way to the rest of Avastia, Grun, beyond, or who've crossed the realm. So, if you've crossed the crown of the world, this is where you end up. And I will note that there's a Gazetteer of this in the Burning Tundra, and the city features throughout the Quest for the Frozen Flame adventure path. So it's been in places. Another large city ruled by Pola is Ice Stair. Pola being a Tianian human. Who maintains the staircase that climbs the Great Glacial that connects Avastia and the Crown of the World. And to help freight, basically, because one of the ways to get trade goods from Tianzi is across the basically frozen north. He's there to kind of help with it. So he fled the successor states and basically helped negotiate trade across here. Yeah. But Ice Stair itself takes the name for the large stairs that are there, rivaling the Stolva Rive as impressive staircase in the world. There's a great winch which hauls the sledges and heavy gear of travelers up and down the Great Wall of Ice. Most arrive from Tianzi. It's filled with guides that lead expeditions to Hillcross or even Wyvernsting. And there's a lot of Tianian humans here because of that. They are here indirectly assisted by powerful cold magics, the Queen of Irisin to the west. And they carve new steps as the old ones break down and wear out, replacing winches whenever it's necessary, and making sure to arrange well-armed guides to help merchants traverse the regions there, too. And the last settlement is Tolguth, which is a large town. It's the second largest settlement. Like its largest settlements, Tolguth is nestled in the icy walls of the Crown of the World. Unlike Ice Stair, it is a warm, almost tropical town surrounded by great ferns, rondurons, and green syads. The reason for this is volcanic vents and thermal springs dot the area. Within this valley roam fantastic creatures that are found nowhere else in Avastian. Duck-billed dinosaurs, raptors, Tyrannosaurus rexes, predatory terror birds like axebeaks. The city is walled for protection from these inhabitants of this region. But again, those largest creatures, it's only a slight hindrance. And despite being surrounded by dinosaur-infested wilderness, the biggest danger comes from the world wound when demons were around. Now they're not, so I mean, now you're back to just dinosaurs. So yeah. I'm not going to go into depths about any of the other geographical features, because I kind of talked about them already. But, yeah. Let's talk about who lives here. As we see a witch taming Tyrannosaurus rexes. Because, yeah, it's the last nation where Kelids still live in their ancient traditions, as their ancient traditions dictate, free from the influence of other countries or powers. The only other Kelid nation that has maintained a similar way of life is Numeria. But even then, they're commanded by the Black Sovereign, who all but turns his back on the Kelid way when he went in with the Technic League. So, of course, we have the Kelids tribes that are scattered across the realm being nomadic, the Mammoth Lords, with their no capture, no cultural gathering places. They follow herds of great beasts across the land, and only make their way to the cities and towns when they must. And so, most of those towns serve foreign travelers. They believe, the people of the land here believe that they were the chosen as the people of the land, and they believe in the strength by their zoic fetishes. Of course, they've mastered the control and domestication of woolly mammoths, or training of woolly mammoths, in addition to other forms of megafauna, which they use as mounts, protectors, and war engines. As hostilities from neighboring countries has decreased, like I talked about, there have been more conflicts and clashes between the various clans of the Mammoth Lords. The other group here is giants, particularly frost giants. And the Kelids have had a contradictory relationship with them. They once fought a near constant conflict, however, much like a distant threat, these giants have become less visible. Mammoth Lords were known to capture giant children, raise them on their own. Having a giant one's tribe was a sign of power amongst the Mammoth Lords, and these children were raised as honored members. Some mystics regard these giants as with near religious fervors, and in time many giants learn to identify with the tribe and protect them. The giants have not, however, disappeared. Most prominent is Jarl Nargorak, who has intelligence and cunning, but lacks kindness and forgiveness. Throughout his life, heinous frost giants engaged in clashes with the Mammoth Lords, a conflict deeply ingrained in his ancestry. He envisions a future where his people reign supreme over this land, and the Mammoth Lords are wiped out. He bides his time, anticipating the followings will grow complacent. Once this happens, he plans to lead his armies down from icy heights of the mountains and claim territories he deems rightful to his people. You also have foreign travelers, of course. There's frequently travels from other lands. Orcs, of course, do raid the south to capture megafauna or to use in their war machines. The servants of the Irrisen Winter Witch are constantly raiding in the west, hoping to expand their realm. Most of the visitors come from the north, of course, where most of the settlements are located, coming from TNZ on the path of Agentai to Icestair, traveling from the successor states. And visitors are reminded that the Mammoth Lord's word is both bound and law, and that all tribal members are suspicious of any magic that is not part of shamanic traditions. As for fauna, the megafauna are the most famous. Mammoths, mastodons, aurochs, bisons, armored glyptodons, giant sloth. They're hunted by the powerful predators like cave lions and smilodons. Tales of enormous creatures fill tap rooms and taverns to the south, and many a bold explorer or daring merchant will go to these realms. These beasts fetch huge prices in the markets the south have captured alive. Many never make it that far, as most expeditions have to return through the hold of Belkazin, which is dangerous in and of itself, because the orcs do love those beasts too. And the Kelid people move with ease amongst the megafauna, taking only what they need for meat, fur, and beasts of burden. And of course, in the valleys with the Tusk Mountains, we have the hidden valleys where dinosaurs that were wiped out the rest of the planet, except for some in Mwangi, still exist. So, 2 regions where dinosaurs survived, 1 region where Megafauna survived, at least. But that's it. That's the realm of Mammoth Lords. That's the basics that you want to learn about for going there. And yeah, it is simple. There isn't a lot to the realm of Mammoth Lords, but I kind of talk about it this way. Yeah. Do we have any major towns? No, we got like 3 minor towns. Do we know who lives there? Yeah. Do we know what lives there? Yeah. Is there more to talk about? I'm going to be honest. It's one of those cases where I think there really isn't much more to ever really add. Sure, we get new books and stuff that are involving the realm of the Mammoth Lords or the various towns and cities here and the various people there. But unlike some other places which I've visited in my talks, I don't feel like there probably would ever be a real reason to necessarily revisit the realm of the Mammoth Lords in its own thing. Because I've gone over everything you really need to know. In every place you need to know. And again, more stuff could be added here and there. But it is what it is. It's that kind of country. It's not like a country where we might know, oh, here's the capital, and that's about it, you know, and maybe here's some of the territories. And you don't know a lot about cities. There really aren't a lot of settlements at all. Period. Like 3? 3 major places? Adding 1 or 2 isn't going to make a difference. And we already know the major ones. It's a realm that's harsh, filled with adventure, probably ancient things that could be there. Certainly going and venturing against Megafauna, dinosaurs, barbarians that rule the lands, clashes of various beings, the influences of the various countries around it. There's a lot of interesting things about the realm of the Mammoth Lord that make it ripe for adventure more than anything. And I think that's what it makes it the most interesting. It's also got connection to cross over to the other side of the planet. The easiest way to TNZ is across the crown of the world rather than sailing. Just land route, easiest from this area. I don't know if actually easiest. It might be technically easier to sail, but longer. Who knows if it's cheaper? It depends on the situation. But certainly, it's such an interesting and colorful place and fun, honestly, to know about the realm of the Mammoth Lords. I think that's what makes it the most interesting to kind of talk about. But anyway, I'll leave it there. I hope you enjoyed learning about the realm of the Mammoth Lords and its existence, its story. It's definitely a fun one. If you want to check out more stuff I've done, I do stuff during the week on Twitch live, and it eventually goes up on YouTube. All the tabletop stuff recorded. Tabletop stuff, discussions like this are Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturday. Thursdays tend to be the Pathfinder day. Tuesdays, Saturdays, between 1 and 2, depending on life schedules. Usually, maybe a little later. And of course, Saturdays around 11, all EST in time. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. is a Pathfinder First Edition live play, The Crimson Queen. Go check that out. And Discussing Tabletop, my tabletop discussion show. Talk about news of the week and top knocks and tabletop on Saturdays at 6 p.m. All the tabletop stuff goes up on YouTube. I do some more stuff related to on Twitch, but that's, gaming and stuff if you want to check that out Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. My social medias are down in the description. Discord, Twitter. That usually has schedule of the week and, what's going on, updates and things like that. And been cat pictures here and there. I have to remember to post some more cat pictures. I've been building them up and just haven't been sharing them with people. But that's about it. So, yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I'm going to get running. I hope everybody has a great day. And until the next time I talk about Pathfinder or something else in tabletop, I bid you farewell.